the chat. Hello, hello. We got a couple new followers as well. So shout out to our latest follower, Chef Boyardeen. That's a great username. I love that so much. And also Hot and Streamy, another great username. Thank you guys so much for the follow. And as you can tell by what's on the screen here, right here, and what I have off to the side right here. Let me just get it on camera for you guys. Ta-da! It's real. Check it out. The Steam Deck. I've gotten to play it more today, a little bit yesterday as well. I wanted to start off with a simpler game, but I do have so far Elden Ring, Doom, Death's Door, Phasmophobia, and Half-Life 2 installed on it. Go ahead and let me know in the chat if there's any games that you want me to see if they are optimized and ready to go on the Steam Deck. I'll actually have it on ready to go to also show you guys kind of like the layout of it all. So I'll turn it on right now. And there's a lot of really, really cool stuff about this console that I'm very, very happy about. I'm excited to show you guys. So, alright, I'm going to have this bad boy off the side. Here's what it looks like. Little screen. I know it's not the most in focus. You can hear the epic Elden Ring music. I'll just turn that down. I'm going to set that down on the side for now. But, first, let's go ahead and just talk about the console itself here. I'm going to give you guys a little walkthrough. And I'm going to also discuss, like, if the Steam Deck is worth it for different types of people, right? Because there's also a big thing coming out for it soon that I think is going to make it a real game changer. And basically an affordable gaming PC that can also be like a Switch. So as you can tell by what I just showed you and what's in this video here, it is basically like the Switch, right? You have your screen in the center and your two joysticks and your D-pad and buttons and triggers and all that beautiful fancy stuff. So this is for sure just like the Switch with the portable console, right? And we're going to talk about how it can basically be adapted as a PC as well, which is really freaking cool. People are already kind of jerry-rigging it, but I'm going to guess that the official dock that they're going to release for it is going to be like the best and safest way to set all that up. Also, there's something very important that you should know when it comes to buying these different options, right? So first, let's just talk about the different purchasing options, because keep in mind, obviously you can tell by this list here, depending on which version you buy, you're going to get less or more things with your Steam Deck, right? So the cheapest one you can get, which is actually kind of nuts, it's about the same price, I think just like $50 more than a Switch. I do think the Switch comes with 256 gigabyte storage, and it does have a micro SD slot as well. But the cheapest one you can get is the $400 one. But all it comes with is 64 gigs of storage, which some games are about that big on the Steam Deck, or even bigger in file size. I think the biggest one I've seen so far is like 70 gigabytes. So right off the bat, you would have to basically, if you want to play some bigger games, you would have to pretty much right away get a big micro SD card to upgrade your storage on this thing, right? So, and all it comes with is the carrying case, which is fine. The carrying case is actually very nice. It's pretty big. This thing is wider than the Switch, which is kind of crazy, but it's got really good grips on it. But anyways, so this is the cheapest, most affordable option, right? Your $400 one. but you only get 64 gigabytes of storage, which for the PC games that are available on this thing, if you're trying to play Spider-Man on here, I think you could just barely fit that on the hard drive that it comes with. Um, and as you can tell, I actually don't know if this is the case, but if you look closely here, this says eMMC, and these two say the NVMe SSD. So I actually don't know if that's also a different type of hard drive. What I'm going to recommend off the bat, and this is the one that I got, is the one in the middle here, the $530 one. After tax, it's about $570, I believe. So the full price you will pay in US dollars is $570. If you are from another country, then go ahead and see what $570 translates to your currency, of course. But this one comes with 256 gigabytes of storage, which is pretty good. Um, if you have big games like I do in my library, if I wanted to have like God of War, Spider-Man, Elden Ring, and maybe Horizon Zero Dawn, I could probably only fit those 4 games at the most onto the Steam Deck. Um, so, but check it out. Because of the SSD, you get faster storage. And I'm not exactly sure what the Steam Community Profile Bundle is. I haven't looked too deep into that. Um, and then, of course, the most expensive one is basically double the storage with 512 gigabytes, same SSD as this guy. Pretty much the same thing. It just has a few other fancy upgrades to it, like the premium anti-glare glass, exclusive carrying case, which is probably just a fancier looking one. Same thing with the Steam community thing, and then keyboard theme. That's whatever, right? Doesn't really matter. So the way that's working right now is that first you have to make a reservation, which is $5. That gets you on a wait list, and then they'll email you when the actual purchase is available, because they obviously have only so much stock that they can push out one at a time. Which I actually really like this system. I really wish that Sony had a system like this. This would have been way nicer to make a reservation. That way, people aren't just buying consoles straight out the door if they're not serious about it, right? And then you got freaking scalpers out there. This is actually a very, very nice system, and I would like to see this get applied for other consoles in the future, especially after how COVID basically jacked up all production for anything that requires, microchips in them for CPUs and GPUs. So, basically, if you want to grab one for the cheapest option, it's going to be about, I think, somewhere around $420 to $430 total for this guy. It's your cheapest option, but you're going to have barely enough storage for a decent amount of games, unless you're playing a bunch of small indie games that are only like like 2 to 3 gigabytes big, which is fine. There's a bunch of great indie games, and I think the biggest selling point of the Steam Deck in general is, of course, this is basically the Switch meets a gaming PC, right? You get access to your whole Steam PC library of games. Now, keep in mind, not every single game on Steam has been optimized yet, right? So, that's of course something to keep in mind. And we're going to look at, of course, what games are currently optimized and what are not, so that you also can make a decision if you want to get a Steam Deck or not, right? But I will say right off the bat, let's go ahead and talk about the look and feel of this thing, right? Let me just check out this bad boy. I love the look and design of this thing. It is sleek. It feels good. It's got great grips on the back, as you can see here. Check that out. It feels really nice. There's also 2 back buttons that you can press and I think you could like custom map them if you want to for a game. So maybe people could start figuring out how to use these as nice little shortcuts as they're playing something like really fast paced. They could figure out how to, press these buttons back here. They do feel a little bit awkward with their positioning because where my fingers land are like pretty much on the very tippy top of the top one and then kind of in between the top and bottom ones. So I think ergonomically the positioning of them is just a little bit awkward, but it would just take some getting used to, of course, right? So overall though, it's got a great grip versus the Switch default Joy-Cons, which have zero grip on them, and it's kind of a pain in the butt when you're squeezing the edges of them to keep your grip on the Switch. That was always my biggest issue with the portable version of the Switch is the Joy-Cons just don't feel all that good. This feels freaking good. Like the build, the design and feel of it is great. Has a simple 3.5 millimeter headphone jack here at the top, and then the two buttons to the side of it here are your volume. This is one of the vents up here, and you will hear the fan depending on which game you're playing. And then over here, you have a USB-C slot for your charger, or some people are already figuring out if you have a USB-C to HDMI cable, you could actually hook this up to a display immediately. And I'll be testing out that soon, but I think I still want to wait until the dock comes out. And I want to do a test stream when the dock comes out by doing a stream off of the Steam Deck. I think that'd be super cool if I could set up everything that I use for my streams on my PC and plug it in to the dock and see if I can get it all working smoothly. That'd be a fun test to try out. But anyways, and then there's the power button over here, and that's pretty much it. Now let's go over the front here, right? So you got your joysticks on the sides. I will say the joysticks feel good. They feel like something in between how like the Switch joysticks feel and how something like on the Xbox or the PlayStation controller joysticks feel. They are good, solid joysticks, and they don't look like they have the cheap kind of like rubbery stuff on the outside of joysticks that wears off after a while. They feel good. Like these are really good modular joysticks. And then you got your D-pad on the left of your left joystick, right? And then this is your select button. And then up here is your pause menu button right here, right above the right joystick. And then you got your A, B, X, and Y buttons here. And then right on the sides of where the volume and the power, this is where your bumpers are, right? So right and left bumpers are here. Below them are your triggers. And then, like I mentioned earlier, there's these little buttons down here. I haven't really had a use for them, but that's kind of just your full-on layout of the triggers here. You got your bumper up top, and then your trigger down here. And the bumpers and triggers feel good, I will say. It is, because of the way you're holding it, just a little bit slower to get, especially your right index finger to this trigger, just because of the way you grip it like this. Your fingers are going to naturally go down to the triggers here when you're, especially have your thumbs on the joysticks like this. Sorry, I don't have the best camera view, but here, like that, yeah. Your index fingers are going to default grip onto the triggers, like so. Anyways, and then let's talk about some of the other buttons. So below your joysticks are these little, basically like mouse pads that you just run your finger across to move your cursor, which is pretty cool. It doesn't display like a mouse, but you could actually use these little trackpads here if you want to move your camera angle around instead of the joysticks. I prefer the joysticks just because I don't want to keep like moving my thumb like this to keep turning. It's easier to just hold down the joystick to turn. So they're a nice addition, and it might be good for like if you need to write something, in a game. If it has that feature, that's kind of cool. And then below them is the Steam button here. You press this, and it takes you to a nice little menu that shows the home button. It shows your home tab, library, store, friends, media. Sorry guys, I know it's hard. I can't hook up the display to be captured in OBS, which is very frustrating. But yeah, basically you have your home, right? You got your home, library, store, friends and chat, media, downloads, settings, and then your power. And so this is a very nice, easy, like user-friendly little hub right here to toggle between whatever page you want to get to. And then over here on the right is like a little 3-dot button here below this trackpad. You press this, and this will open up basically your social tab. It shows your friends list. That's where you can add friends. You can also open up quick settings like adjusting your brightness, your audio levels. It even has a built-in microphone, which is nice. You can go to your battery performance. There's battery performance adjustments, which is pretty cool. You can decide if you want to limit your frame rate, your refresh rate, or how much you want to adjust the scaling filter, which is a cool thing. It's hard to show you guys, but there's a scaling filter, which basically you can choose if you want a higher scaling filter to make your graphics look better, but it will come at the cost of battery life, of course. It will shorten up the battery life, especially if you're playing a graphic-intensive game like Elden Ring or Control or, Horizon Zero Dawn or Spider-Man, So keep these things in mind. But anyways, that's pretty much the whole layout. Obviously, there's more detailed stuff that I will show you guys later on. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole layout of the Steam Deck, which is great. It's very easy to use and get used to. Just the fact that you can play almost any Steam game on here. And they're also working on it still. I think it's kind of in its early phases. It might have some kinks right now. But they do also have basically an extension to add Google Chrome to the thing. So you could also use it as a web browser. And you can, in theory, I think a lot of third-party people are working on them right now. But you can basically add other games that are non-Steam games onto the Steam Deck as well. And I think that that's where like the next year or two of it is going to get really interesting. So there's going to be even non-Steam games from PC that are going to be added to the Steam Deck, which is pretty sweet. So again, there's different prices for the different amount of storage, but there is a handy dandy micro SD slot right here at the bottom. So, for example, I could add like 2 terabytes of storage to this bad boy and give it pretty much the same amount of storage that my gaming PC has. That's freaking crazy. So, obviously, games stored on the micro SD will not be as fast to load and run maybe as the ones directly installed onto the actual Steam Deck's SSD, but still a great option to be able to expand your storage and not be forced to be stuck with the one that it came with. So, once again, you will have to make a reservation, and then you will be put on basically a waiting list, and then you will get an email for when you are able to buy it. Make sure you have enough money saved because you don't really get any heads up to when you're going to be letting known when you can buy it, and when you are able to buy it, they only give you a window of like a day to make the payment, and if you don't, then they're just going to basically put you back on the reservation list and try you again another time. Which it can seem like I have mixed feelings about that, right? Because ironically, that was the same day that I purchased the bundle to get my PS5, and it felt horrible that I spent money on 2 consoles in one day. But I think that was just my sheer luck. So, make sure you have enough money set aside for whichever price console Steam Deck you are going to get, please, because so as it says here, you will receive an email and will have 72 hours to complete your purchase. So you'll have about 3 days once you get that email. I think if you don't complete it within the 72-hour window, the 3-day window, I think you just get put back on the reservation list, and then they'll email you again when you're able to get one when their inventory is available. So I think that is a very fair and clever system, again, for making sure that it is only going out to people who really want one, have the money for it, and are serious about it, because this also is a very it's a pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Anti-scalper practice, right? Because the problem with when the PS5 is ever available is that it basically becomes a surprise, like, oh, hey, we have some stock available. And then the internet goes freaking crazy. People buy them up in bulk because there's always going to be scalpers out there who want to buy them, flip the prices on them when they're out of stock everywhere, and then screw people over with doubling the price so they can, mooch off of the poor people who just want to finally have the console. This doesn't let them do that, which I actually think is pretty freaking clever, and I hope that Sony could do that one day. I know that, like, on their website they have a reservation list, but I never once got an email, even though I was able to get one through Walmart. So it's like, okay, so what's the deal? You're making them available every now and then through retail stores, but your actual own freaking website, you say you have a reservation list and you had me sign up for it, but nothing ever came from that. So I think Steam has been really, really good at handling this system and making one that works. This is genius. This is very clever. And I want to see Sony and even Microsoft implement something like this for the future. Maybe when their next generation of consoles come out in the next 5 or 6 years. I don't know. Anyways, let's talk about some other stuff. Steam Deck production update. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about the dock, right? Because the dock is going to be an absolute game changer. So it did get delayed, unfortunately, because of COVID. I know, shocker, right? But let's just go over. Actually, before we talk about the dock, let's go ahead and check out compatible games, right? Because this is a very, very important thing to people. How many of my games from my library are going to actually be verified and optimized to be played on there? And I guess we can read this real quick. Portability meets power. Partnered with AMD to create their custom APU optimized. Handle blah, blah, blah. So basically, custom little AMD chip. Super cool. All right. But anyways, as you can tell, not every single game on Steam has been optimized for the Steam Deck, which is important to know for you in case you have a bunch of games on there that are not optimized for it, because it would suck to buy the thing and then you want to play your games and then they're not optimized for it and you're stuck waiting to see if they even get optimized. So let's look at the list. These games all pass. So if they have a green check mark, that means they are good. Let's see. These games pass all compatibility, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's see. And trending, store featured. Okay, can I just... This is kind of a messy layout here. 1 second, guys. We're gonna figure this out here. Because I thought this was just a shop, but maybe this is the Steam Deck shop. Because it says, these games pass all compatibility, and each one is a great experience on the Steam Deck, so... Okay, we'll scroll through this, and then I'll find, like, an actual website list that is a little bit easier to read. But basically, let's go ahead and go through these real quick. So, Stardew Valley, Terraria, Played Up, Lost Judgment, Project Zomboid, Jurassic World, Gunfire Reborn, Divinity, War Thunder, Don't Starve Together, Dying Light, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rustler, The Long Dark, Apex. You can play freaking Apex. You can play multiplayer Battle Royale games on this thing. It's freaking cool. You have Days Gone. Days Gone works on it. Control. Disco Elysium. Judgment. Hades. People love that game. Let's see. What else? So these are all the top sellers. Let's look at top sellers. Yeah, you can play God of War. You can play Horizon Zero Dawn. Elden Ring. Spider-Man Remastered, guys. That like just came out on Steam and it's already optimized. So, clearly, whatever layout and system they have for the Steam Deck, it doesn't seem to be too hard for them to optimize games to be compatible on the Steam Deck, which is kind of incredible. Horizon Zero Dawn, fantastic game. War Thunder, I know people like that game. I haven't played it, but anyways, let's see. Death Stranding, it's a freaking weird game. There you go. Stray, I freaking love Stray. Stray is amazing. Phasmophobia, have that. Witcher 3, Control, I think we already read that. Hades, we already read that. Ark Survival. Again, even these big multiplayer games, you can play them on here. Teardown, Risk of Rain, Devil May Cry. Like, it's a huge list. Huge, guys. So, let's go ahead and actually pull up Google here. And we will look up the full list of Steam Deck optimized games. Here we go. It's probably going to be a huge list. Verified. Let's check it out. Oh. What? There we go. Recently verified all these games. I'll just scroll through and you guys can take a look. It's pretty much most of them. See all verified games. Okay, this takes us back to that same page. All right. It's just very, let's see, 4 categories. So there's also this, right? There are, of course, the unsupported games, which is just you don't want to do that. Unknown, they haven't checked them yet for compatibility. And then there's ones with the yellow eye in the middle, where it's like they might need some manual tweaking, but they are playable. So that is also something to, of course, check. But what's nice is that you can also come back here to that page we're on. And the most important thing is, of course, you can check your own library's compatibility, which is pretty freaking sweet. So, let's see. These are all my games that are verified, that are good to go right off the bat. I can play Sekiro Shadows Die twice. That's nuts. That is a very fast-paced game. No Man's Sky. Deathloop. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Valheim. Chernobylite, Doom Eternal, you know. And then these are playable ones that you would just have to kind of make adjustments yourself. But look at how many are in my list here that are also playable. That just need a little bit of tweaking. Cult of the Lamb. I just played that. I love that game. The Forest, Uno, Fallout 3, Skyrim, Raft, GTFO, Golf with Friends, Dark Souls, New Vegas, Among Us, New World. You can play freaking New World on the thing. Are you kidding me? Cyberpunk. You could play Cyberpunk, Subnautica, BioShock Remastered, Resident Evil, Fallout 4, 7 Days to Die. What more can I say here? Jedi Fallen Order, Far Cry 3, Wolfenstein, Youngblood, we don't want to talk about that one. That was a waste of money. Now, this is also important, though. Let's also look at some games that I have that are unsupported, right? Because that's important to check out, too. Fallout 76, Fall Guys, Zenith, of course, is... They're mainly going to be VR games that are not supported because it's not a VR console, and I don't think it's ever going to support VR. Unless one day in the future someone figures out how to set up virtual desktop from a Steam Deck to VR. But I don't think it has enough juice and processing power to handle VR. So that's not a surprise. Far Cry 5. Interesting. I feel like that's a game that could be supported, but it's not there. Dead by Daylight does not work. Rust does not work. Tabletop Simulator, not there, which is weird. I feel like that's a one that would be fairly easy to get working. Cosmodread is VR, not a surprise. Gary's Mod, dude, if they get Gary's Mod going on the Steam Deck, that'd be sick. Smite, Serious Sam, Boneworks is VR. We went back. Where Fallout 76. Destiny 2 does not work yet on the Steam Deck. But maybe it will one day. So, that's kind of an overview just from my list of games. But as you can tell, there is a lot that do work on it. Freaking Red Dead 2, guys. Red Dead 2 can work on the Steam Deck. That's freaking nuts. So, there's a lot of games that work on this thing already right off the bat, which is phenomenal. And I think it's only going to get better and better over time to the point where like almost any game on Steam is compatible. Now, let's hop back in here and let's talk about what I think is going to be the biggest game changer. There's a dock. It's not out yet. I think it's going to be coming out sometime next year, I believe, because I think it got delayed. It's either coming out later this year or sometime next year. So, let's take a look at this bad boy, because it looks clean, it looks nice, and I'm excited for this, because this is where I think it really can showcase itself as a game changer, as an alternative to having a gaming PC, instead having a gaming PC that has a little bit not as pretty graphics as something like you could build with a 2070, 2080 or a 3080 or whatever the next 40 series graphics card is going to be, The insane graphics cards that we can get for gaming PCs, of course, this is never going to be able to top that, but it looks pretty damn good. Like, Elden Ring looks good on this screen. And then, I think, once this comes around, I'm curious if it'd be able to, in docked mode, have a better resolution scale when it's going out to a monitor, right? Eventually, I will, of course, test how this thing runs with the dock plugged in to my Samsung 240 hertz 2K monitor, and just how good of graphics I can get out of it and how good it will look on that screen. And with this dock, it looks like you get enough slots here to, if you really needed to, also hook up a USB hub so you can have more stuff plugged in, of course. But it looks like you have, this is running from the USB-C into this guy. So we have the hub right here, basically, right? So you can plug in a few USB things. It looks like it has, let's see, do they have the description of it? So let's see. Props up your Steam Deck connecting to external displays. So you have your HDMI, of course, right? So let's see. External displays, wired networking, USB, and power. So let's see. You can also use a powered USB-C hub if you got one lying around. So you can kind of build your own dock. I think that this will be the cleaner, safer method to go with. I hope they don't overprice this dock because, let's face it, if they're even saying here you can also use a USB-C. I do have a deck. Yes. Thank you for tuning in, Blonde43. Yeah, it's right here. It is right here. I do have deck. I have deck. Do you have deck? Yes, very good. So, the dock is going to be a game changer, though, because you could basically turn this thing into a gaming PC. My deck Thursday come. Me deck Thursday come. Oh man, Blonde. We got to work on your English. That's okay. That was funny. Thank you for that. Yeah, so the dock, me Merc. Me too, man. Thanks for tuning in. Anyways, the dock can basically turn this into a gaming PC if you think about it, right? Because you already have your Steam library on here. But the benefit of this thing with the dock is that just like the Switch, you could play it on a big screen. You could hook up a keyboard and mouse up to whatever screen you want. That has, I think it's just going to be HDMI. An HDMI input. You could have it in your living room. You could have it in your gaming room, wherever. Plug it in. Have your keyboard and mouse, and then hook up a gaming headset that maybe just has a built-in mic, and next thing you know, or you could even hook up a audio interface, I'm sure, with one of the USB inputs. Why not? On the dock. I could basically take everything that's plugged into my gaming PC and move it over to the dock and have the same kind of setup, a keyboard and mouse, a monitor it's plugged into, and at least half of the cost of what a gaming PC build, that is at least a good enough one, would cost you, right? Especially nowadays, I think the cheapest things are going to be your motherboard, your chassis for your gaming PC, and even some CPUs aren't too bad, right? But let's see. I have an old Amazon list for PC. Let's see. But if we look it up now, how much does a great gaming PC? Let's see. Gaming PC build cost. Let's see. They're going to run you about $2,000 to maybe even $4,000 because let's face it. You want to make a nice gaming PC build, right? But gonna compare 720p. So, yes, Blonde, thank you. So, that is, of course, going to be the biggest downside. I'm still going to get the dock because I really want to try out what the experience is like, because There's going to be people out there who do not care so much about resolution that want to get a foot into the gaming PC world, right? Because let's face it, Steam has a ton of cool indie games and PC exclusive games that people on console are not going to get. And if they want something like a Switch that they can take on the go and experience dope PC games, this is kind of the best of both worlds for them, right? You could be on a plane or on a long train or bus ride and you're like, man, it'd be really fun to play Elden Ring right now, but I don't have my gaming PC with me and it's impossible. Not anymore! Because you better bet there's no way in hell the Switch would be able to support and run Elden Ring or Horizon Zero Dawn or Spider-Man or God of War. The fact that it can run those games and it still looks good on the resolution of this screen is mind-blowing. How much? Let's see. Let's look it up, right? So we're talking about how much more money you're going to save with this being your PC build, right? So let's say the dock is about 50 to $100, right? So the version I got was about 570 total. And then let's add another one. So about let's just round it up to 650, right? The total cost for the build. You do need to buy a monitor, but the monitor you're going to need either way. So that doesn't really come into the price difference. That doesn't matter. We're talking about just strictly the things for the actual hardware, your computer that you could plug in that you can't plug in to either of these two things with the dock included with your Steam Deck, right? So let's just look it up for funsies. I think the 3070 is a fair enough GPU, right? So let's look up 3070 graphics card. Just a graphics card alone, right? A good one. Let's see. Now, there's some shady websites you need to be careful with when shopping online. 3070 overkill versus APU. Are you talking about like the actual name of the 3070? Overkill? Oh. No, you're just talking about the actual 3070. So, yeah. Of course, the built-in graphics for the screen on the Steam Deck still looks really good. But what I'm trying to talk about here is that basically the price of just the graphics card for your gaming PC build would be about the same amount of money you're going to spend on the Steam Deck. Right? That doesn't even include your GPU, your CPU. And you need a good CPU, right? Especially for these 30 and then eventually 40 series cards. You're going to need like an Intel Core i9 CPU. You need a damn good CPU. So, how much are one of these going to cost? Again, about the same amount that GPU's maximum throughput around 1.6 teraflops makes it loosely equivalent in power to an NVIDIA. Right. Are you talking about the GPU on the Steam Deck? Because that would make sense. It's probably about as loosely as powerful to a 10 series card, which makes sense. It totally does. Because again, we're not outputting the most insane graphics on the screen. You can't get anywhere close to 4K on the Steam Deck. And that just makes sense, I mean, we haven't even the only upgrade we got to the Switch over the past how many years now the Switch has been out? Almost 10 years, is the OLED screen. Just makes the colors and contrast look a little better, and the screen got a little bigger. Whoop-de-doo. But clearly, with the technology and how much you're packing in, played the deck before. So I literally just got my Steam Deck this week. But what I'm trying to say here is the amount of money that you will save on a Steam Deck, which is a portable gaming PC, just like a Switch, right? You can take it anywhere. You can keep it plugged in. And then when the dock comes along, you could hook it up to play just like a gaming PC with a keyboard and mouse and even like an audio interface and stuff. Wondering if it's a first impression or not. Yeah, so this is my first impression. At the beginning of the stream, I was talking about that more. So if you want to rewatch the beginning of the stream when it's done, you can check all that out, Blonde. Yeah. Also, thanks for tuning in. I don't know if we've had you on the... I don't know if we've had you tune in before, so thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and give a follow if you've been liking the content. I also have been doing a ton of videos and streams on playing The Last of Us Part 1 and a few other games, so feel free to check those out too if you want, Blonde. But yeah, this is... I'm going to be a little, like, rough around the edges making this review and first impression thing, because this is my first time doing one of these kind of streams before, so bear with me here. You know what? Nah, it's fine. So, I mean, let's break it down here, right? Even just a really solid CPU costs will cost you right now the same amount that a good Steam Deck will cost you. So, what I'm trying to get at here is that people who want to save money and get their foot into the door with gaming on a PC with their buddies who are on PC but don't want to, spend nearly $2,000 on a solid gaming PC build, the Steam Deck is a wonderful alternative. If you do not care a ton about your overall resolution on your Steam Deck, this is the way to go. Get the dock, and just get whatever setup for a gaming PC would, like a good monitor, a keyboard and mouse, and a good headset with maybe just a mic built into it to make it easier to plug into the headphone jack. And then you have a gaming PC at home. You can play just like a PC, with just not as good as graphics, of course, as these insane GPUs are going to have, of course. But you saved a fraction of the cost, and you can take this thing on the go with you. So you can bring it to, like, if you have to go on a long trip, you don't have to wait till you get back home to continue playing Spider-Man or God of War on it, This is a big deal. This thing right here, I 100% believe is going to be not necessarily a Switch killer, but is now the ultimate competition for the Switch, because there is no reason to say, wow, the Switch obviously has way more games on it than freaking Steam does. That is dumb. That is a lie. And you cannot lie that there are way better and way cooler games on Steam, like Spider-Man, like God of War, like Horizon Zero Dawn. I honestly didn't truly love Death Stranding, but even Fallout games, the Far Cry, just Elden Ring. You can play freaking Elden Ring on there. Like, there's just incredible games on Steam. And the thing is, if you already have a pre-existing account and games on there, you don't have to buy them again. You just log in, and it basically just transfers all your stuff from your account and loads you up on there just like you would be logging into Steam on your PC. This is freaking amazing. So, would I say that the Steam Deck is worth getting? Yes, depending on if currently before the deck comes out, or the dock, excuse me. If you're getting it without the dock right now, then I think the best thing about it is that you can bring your gaming PC experience with you wherever you're going. If you travel a good amount throughout the year, it's worth it. And you want to play Steam games on it, 100% worth it. If you have a job where you have long breaks and downtime and you'd like to just kick back and play something fun, it's worth it. But if you stay at home a lot, if you do work from home, if you want to be a streamer, I would still say then that it's not 100% worth it. If you're looking for getting your foot in the door with PC so you can be online with your friends that are on PC, and I'm pretty sure that eventually people will figure out how to hook up Discord and everything on the Steam Deck. I wouldn't be surprised. There's probably already people who have figured it out. So you could just hop on Discord, join your buddies. You could be in another freaking country away from home, and you can still log online to play Elden Ring with your buddies, to play Call of Duty, or, what were the multiplayer games? Let's check it out again, right? I'll just look at my library once again. I could play Elden Ring with my buddies. I could play Rocket League with my buddies. I could play No Man's Sky, Valheim, Left 4 Dead 2, Phasmophobia, Ark. 'Cause that's the other cool thing. You can bring your multiplayer games with you, and I'm sure if you have a good enough internet connection, you can hop online and join them. How freaking dope is that? That is so cool. The Switch has a horrible, next to no existing multiplayer friendly component to it that lets you hop into chats with your buddies. They still don't have a actual in the Switch online system where you add friends and hop into chats with a headset and with a mic on. You have to use your phone still. That is so stupid. On the Steam Deck, I'm 90% sure you could just install freaking Discord and hop in a chat without having to pay for any live service, or just do a party chat through Steam if you got your buddies added on there. And just do a party chat through there if you need to. But I'm like 90% sure that you could just get Discord working on there, just like you would with normal, PC players. And then it feels like it's almost no different. Now, I do need to test out multiplayer games with people on it. And I want to try it at a few different locations, of course, to give you guys an impression like, okay, let's say I'm on a trip and I want to hop online with my buddies and I'm just staying at a hotel. How good is the hotel Wi-Fi going to keep me connected smoothly online with my buddies playing, let's say, Phasmophobia, right? Because Phasmophobia has pretty decent, modern graphics, right? It's not a 2D game or anything. It's a 3D game with, fairly good modern graphics, and it's online. So I would love to be able to test how that connection can handle running that game and being online with other people. But of course, if you're from home and you got great Wi-Fi at your house, then why wouldn't it work? It's basically a mobile PC, which is pretty amazing. And you can use Google Chrome on it. And you could eventually start setting up Steam Deck third-party supported games that aren't from Steam. It's so cool. So what is my first impression? My first impression and review of it currently is that this thing is freaking wild. If you really think about all the potential that this thing has, that this little, I don't know about little, it's actually pretty dang big and wide, but the fact that you could take this thing anywhere with you and play like AAA games and multiplayer games online with other people on PC is phenomenal. Like this is the future of PC gaming moving into more of a mobile console generation like the Switch, but showing the Switch they can do it a hell of a lot better and that they know what they're doing. So, overall, I think I love the Steam Deck, but there's still a few more things that I need to test out with it to get a better, deeper evaluation to know exactly who I would recommend it to and give you guys honest feedback on how it works with in certain scenarios, like if you're running it off of hotel Wi-Fi, how good or bad is it going to be with a multiplayer setting? And then, of course, single player games just seem to run great on it. So, I will be doing more tests soon. I want to try out more multiplayer stuff with it and test out a few different situations with internet connections to see how well or badly it can handle different types of internet depending on where you're at, where you're hooked up to. So, I think that's going to pretty much do it for this review and first impression of the Steam Deck. Overall, I love it. I'm very, very happy with it. The fact that I could just pick it up, like, on a plane rides, on a trip, or, you're just sitting on a bus or on a train, and you could play freaking Elden Ring or Spider-Man on it, is mind-blowing. Like, this is truly the next step in gaming technology. Like, the Switch and even the old PlayStation Portable, they're good, but they have many, many limitations to them. Still, to this day, the Switch has many limitations to it that frustrate me. The Steam Deck is just like, get the frick out of my way. Let me show you how to actually do this, which is awesome. And it's only going to get better. So, when the dock rolls around, that's going to be a game changer, dude. That is going to be a game changer because that basically turns it into just like the Switch. But you could set it up as kind of a cheaper gaming PC. And I will 100% do a test stream from the Steam Deck when the dock rolls around. And that's going to be very, very fun to try out. So, thank you guys as always for tuning in. Thanks, Blonde, for hanging in the chat and giving some good input and chatting with me. It's always fun to have people in here to talk to. So, if you haven't followed already, go ahead and give a follow or subscribe. It's the best way to help support the channel. And if you want to check out any of the other videos, I have a bunch saved from The Last of Us and a couple other games that I played recently. So feel free to check those save streams out as well. I've got a few highlights and clips on the channel as well. And feel free to check out my Instagram and Twitter. It's the same name as my account on here, Xanda Games. I will usually post about whenever I'm going live, just to keep you guys up to date. This was kind of a spur of the moment review because I was just able to squeeze this in for today. So that's why I didn't make a post about it, but I will do a lot better. And I'm going to hopefully set up a TikTok soon where I will also post like little highlights and clips from streams for you guys. And that would be fun. I think that'd be good. So, thank you guys as always for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night wherever you're tuning in from. And as always, I will see all you guys next time. Bye-bye.